Today we have the 69 Camaro. We're going to start stripping the rest of the body. The front end has L-411 on it. So this car, when we blew it apart, we stripped everything, the front end, the parts that we ended up reusing, which are actually new panels from the last time this car was done. So we reused fenders, hood, front valance. And as you can see, we've got some spots where we had to do some metal work with gaps and grill fitment, things like that. We were deleting the emblems, so little bits here and there have been ground off. And the rest of the car is in E-coat. The rest of the car is basically all new panels, quarters, roof, doors. The deck lid is original. It's had floors. It's got new firewall, new dash. We've got a fabricated front end under it, Mustang 2 type setup with a rack and pinion, and it's got a 4-link in the back, QA1 4-link. We've got 2023 ZL1 seats in it. Obviously they're not in it right now, but you can see some of the work we had to do to get that to fit. We had to recess the rocker area, and that is brackets for the back seats. So front and rear seats are 23 ZL1 Camaro, ZL1 Camaro console. And under the hood, things are a little dirty right now, but it's a LS1. We're putting a BTR cam in it, different heads, doing some engine work to it, but right now it's sitting in there for fab. There is engine covers and engine bay covers that literally cover from the fender down. You don't see the inner fender, you don't see the control arms, you don't see any of this, you don't see the core support. Everything is covered. It's notched all around the brake setup. Billet CVF hinges, and we really like these hinges because of the cam adjustments on them. That's actually a cam in there, so you can make tiny adjustments without overdoing it. You actually just turn it a little bit and it makes it nice and easy to adjust. So we're going to start stripping the rest of the car, the back half of the car, the doors, the roof, deck lid, things like that. And we're going to start with 80 grit on a Rotary. Being that this is just E-coat, it's really not very thick. If this was a car that had multiple paint jobs on it, we would start with 36, get most of it knocked off, and then go to 80. So we're going to start with 80 on a Rotary, get probably 90% of it, and then we're going to finish with 80 on a DA. So when we use the Rotary, we don't want to just sit here and spin it as fast as we can. I actually have it on the lowest setting. I'm on at 600 RPMs. And when we do this, we just skate back and forth like this. We don't want to sit here and rub one spot, because if you do that, you'll heat that metal. And if you heat that metal to the point where you can't touch it, there's a good chance you're going to warp it. So we go slow, back and forth, gradually, and we're going to get probably 95% of the E-coat off with this tool. But I've got this quarter mostly stripped. As you can see, there's still some spots where you can see a little bit of E-coat here and there. So now what we're going to do is finish this with a DA with 80, and you'll see it's a much different scratch. Here we've got rotational scratches, and yeah, sure, things will stick to that, but what we're going to do with the DA is going to be a lot better. So what I'm trying to do with the DA is just take all of this little bits of black off that's still there and we're looking for a nice scattered scratch like this, where the light just scatters when it hits it, because it's an orbital. It's going every direction, and that's gonna get that metal nice and clean. That's gonna give us a really good bite for our epoxy. So now that I've got about half of it done, you can see the clear difference in a rotational type scratch versus a DA type scratch. The light is much more scattered, and that's what we're looking for, is just a random scatter of scratches in every direction, as much adhesion as possible. And another thing I'll definitely stress is never do any of this without wearing gloves. The oils from your hands can cause rust. You touch that, you put a handprint in it today, you come back tomorrow, there'll probably be a rusty handprint in that. And it's because of the oils from your hands, the salt in your sweat, things like that. It's gonna rust it almost immediately. So usually when we strip these cars, we blow them all apart, doors off, front end off, everything apart as much as possible. The body goes back on the rotisserie, we blast everything, and then we strip the outsides like we're doing right now mechanically. So this car, being that it was previously done, the bottom is in pretty good shape. It's got new floors and all that. Being that this car was decent, kind of, I guess, on the bottom anyway, we are going to go right to stripping the outer skins. We're not gonna blow this one apart yet. We're actually gonna keep it together. We're gonna strip the outside, prime it together, and then we're going to epoxy the car together, just the way it is. The panels in front that are already epoxied and have a little bit of metal work done to them, basically what I've done is just taken some 80, feather that out, and I'm just gonna run over the rest of the front end with some 180. And when we go to prime, we'll do 2 coats over bare metal. So our first coat will be only over the bare metal, the back half of the car, and the last coat will go over everything just to make everything nice and even again. And then we can go right to body work. Instead of putting this on the rotisserie, blasting the bottom, doing all that, and putting it back together to do body work, to take it back apart, to put it back on the rotisserie, which is the usual, we can kind of skip that step with this car, because we're not blasting the inside of the tub, we're not blasting the inside of the trunk, the bottom of the car. We have a little bit of blasting to do around the firewall, cowl area. Once it comes apart, goes on the rotisserie. But after that, that's basically the extent of the blasting that we have to do. A little bit in the door jams, things like that. But being that almost every panel on here is new, we're not going to blast the back of the doors. We're going to sand that, prime what we have to prime, paint them. Same with the fenders, the hood, all that stuff is new as well. So now we've got the car all stripped. The exterior, like I said earlier in the video, when we had the front end apart, those were new panels to begin with. So we stripped them, primed those. So how we're going to approach this is any of the bare metal. The first coat, I'm going to come in, I'm going to hit all the bare metal and not anything that's already primed. The second coat, I'm going to go over the whole car. We're going to do 2 coats over bare metal. And then in a couple days, we're going to start body work on this car. As you can see, we've got a nice scratch in all of our metal. Nice DA scratches in every direction. Nice scattered light. Gives us good adhesion. So here we go, L-411 blue epoxy. So we've got 1 coat of L-411 over bare metal, laid out pretty good. We reduced this about 10%. I spotted in my bare metal spots in the front. So the next coat, we're going to do the whole car. coats down on the whole car. Now this is gonna sit for about 2 days. It's Thursday today, so this will sit till Monday and dry, and we will start body work on this.